Welcome to I Love My HBCU ? The podcast where we express our undeniable love for HBCUs, but where we are also not afraid to address a few tough questions. So, sit back, learn a little, love a lot, and rep your HBCU. It's another episode, and it's another reason to love your HBCU. Brooklynn Tucker and I we've been talking, like we've been having a really good conversation, and I had to say, Tosin, hit record. Brooklynn, welcome to I Love My HBCU ?
Yes, thank you for having me. I'm so excited to be here.
So Brooklynn, let's get right to it. You are in Columbia, not Columbia, Maryland, for those Marylanders who are listening. But the country of
Yes.
Colombia. And I'm not kidding. My producer literally had to just check in and say, guys, can you hit record? You guys are really having a great conversation. Brooklynn, you just gave me your reason for being in Colombia. You are doing a study abroad program. You're a Howard University student. Go Bisons. I'm a Howard alum. But I also mentioned to you that I've heard a lot of our HBCU students doing more and more study abroad programs, and their country of choice for a good number of them is Colombia. So give us your reason why Colombia was your country of choice.
Yes. For one, I would say I did feel God pushed me to go to Columbia due to a numerous of reasons. One being the Colombian program here actually was created by Howard University. It was created by Howard University study abroad director, Miss Hope, who is amazing. And she created the program. And what I really like about it is it's centered around race and identities, armed conflict, and the Black experience here in Colombia. So you're really having a different approach to your study abroad. And just from everything is completely different. We have Colombian roommates who are Afro-Colombian. We do cultural excursion trips that are very catered to that Black African experience, but also kind of talking about race and identities. And it really changes your mindset about numerous things. And then also something been pushing me to go to Colombia, like outside of just the educational aspect. I love soccer. I love football. As you say here, I'm on the football team here. I'll be playing, and that was one reason. The World Cup. No, it was like Copa America. Yeah, that was like after seeing Colombia, just the energy and everything. And when I was interning in Miami, I had a lot of Colombian coworkers. They said go to Colombia, so it was just like I was supposed to go to Colombia, and I'm a senior, and that was a very big thing because who study abroad their senior year during fall
That's
and
true.
homecoming? I do. Brooklyn Tucker did,
Wow.
and it was just a push to go, and I don't regret it for anything.
I love it. I love it. Are we going to be like transparent in this
Yes.
conversation? Okay,
Hmm.
beautiful. Um, so as you know, just before we hit record, we talked about the different types of Black that
Hmm.
we experience in different parts of the world. And I'm going to mention the story that I led with, and I want your take on the story that I led with. I won't mention her name, but I had a former professor who had traveled to South Africa. She's American. She traveled to South Africa. I was at Howard University in the master's program at the time, and I asked her, when she got back, hey, because we used to talk about travel a lot. So I said, hey, so how was South Africa? And she went quiet, and it was a reflection that she was doing. And I'm waiting for like excitement and all these things. She gave me a couple of horror stories with regards to water because she drank some bad water and she was in the toilet for quite a bit. So that's the first thing she said to me. And then the second thing she said to me was, Tosin, I loved my time, but can I be really honest with you? I said, please, traveling all over in these different countries and her recent return from South Africa made her appreciate the United States of America more. And you didn't say those exact words. You gave some version of that. Tell me what has made you feel I kind of appreciate what we have over here.
Yes. I would say it's so easy, especially with everything going on, saying, oh my gosh, America sucks. So we want to, the United States sucks. I want to travel, I want to do this, which is all true. But honestly, after coming here, for one, I realized the Black diaspora is so diverse. And even us as um, African Americans, we can actually kind of be kind of oblivious to the Black diaspora and not so many people don't even know there's black people in Latin America, which is actually crazy. But then the reason why I say that too is, for one, people from the United States, they have more pride in their state more than the country. So I think that's where you see a lot of people. People will be like, "Oh my gosh, I don't know people from the United States," but they will be repping New York City, New Jersey. I'm from the 305 every single time they have a chance. So then it's just that aspect of that culture that, for me, at first it wasn't culture, but then when I really start to realize what the Black American culture is, it's amazing. It's
Yeah.
culture. We're in Tupac. We're in in the center of everything culturally that's happening around them, all over the world. And then also to the level of success that the Black Americans have is on a different level. Yes, we still have a lot more ways to go, but nowhere else in the world would you see HBCUs. Would you see people sitting in the C suites of companies where you see, yes, we have to have that struggle, but I would say since it's more in your face, we
Yeah.
know how to fight it. Because here, after being Colombia, racism and stuff works different. Race works different. When I came here,
Mm.
people saw me as a gringa American before I was black. There was one time I've been with my Afro Colombian roommates and me. They let me into the club wearing the same thing that my Afro Colombian counterparts were wearing. But because I was a gringa, because I was American, because I had more money, they let me in. So having that level of privilege was like very different but very interesting. But in a sense, it made me really appreciate what the Black American history is, what our story is, what our culture is, what Dina, all that stuff is so cool. And as I was explaining it to my Afro Colombian roommates here, I came to realize, I was like, the United States isn't that bad. Like, it really isn't. And I came to appreciate it more. Still loving Colombia, don't get me wrong. No hate to Colombia. I love it here. My time here has been amazing. But it really made me excited to go back home and really appreciate everything that the United States has to offer in all its crazy. In all its crazy.
So I hear you say in all it's crazy, and like you said, it is extremely popular right now to bash the United States of America, coming from Americans themselves, not even external, just
Yeah.
coming from Americans themselves. But I also hear you saying, not saying, every country's got its crazy. Like every single country has got its crazy.
Yes. No, kind of on that, I was actually talking to my professor, and I can't like this. Please don't cancel me on this. But when we were going to Palenque, when we were going to Cartagena and everything, Palenque is one of the first free black towns in all of the Americas, including the United States. First free black African town, and it was so cool to be there. And it was like established for so long. But then I questioned my teacher. I was like, because they're so established, and they're saying freedom, all that, and they have a lot of things that we don't have, that you could say, but it wasn't my idea of developed either. So in that
Hmm.
sense, I kind of had
Hmm.
that problem because I was like, if it's just a sense of you was just established for so long, you would think that it will be you will have more things. But then he told me, he was like, you have to realize that people from the states have things that we don't have, but same here in Colombia, they have things that we don't have, for a sense of like that community aspect is something that Colombia has that we don't have, but also in the sense of like their armed conflict and that whole entire situation surrounding that is a privilege that we take for granted, that we don't, that yes, our American government is crazy, but that foundation and the fact that it's strong does wonders when you compare it to other countries, because they're able to do stuff that the United States is able to do, stuff that those countries can't do, in that sense of security and that sense of safety. So in that sense, I love Colombia, but then it made me realize all that stuff that they had that I didn't have, but all the same things, all the things that we have as Americans that they don't have. I hope
I
that
wrote down, I write notes a lot. I think in my head I'm somebody's psychologist or psychotherapist, and I'm clearly not. But in my head, I'm always writing things down as people talk because I really do value what people say. I wrote down while you were talking, appreciate where you are for however long that you're there, because there's always going to be something amazing about where you are in the moment.
hmm
That's what I got from what you said. We're clearly going to have a conversation about race and identity. It's impossible for us not to at some point in time in this conversation. But I want to quickly treat you with we just went in hot with you. Like we really did. And I think it's because of the conversation that we were having
yeah.
before we started recording. But I do want to treat you to our rapid fire segment where I'm going to throw
Okay.
as many questions at you as possible in 67 seconds, and I'm looking forward to your response. Are you ready?
Okay. Yes.
All right, let's do this. Oh, Brooklyn. Oh, Brooklyn. Describe yourself in 3 words.
Ambitious, blessed, and genuine.
I love that. Yours is going to be next year, regardless of when we hear your particular episode. Your graduation is next year. Who do you want as your commencement speaker?
Kamala Harris. Kamala
Kamala
Harris.
Harris.
Kamala
And
Harris.
that should be doable, right? You
I
think?
think so. Like,
I
I think
think so too. She's on a
she just
book
wrote her book, you
tour.
know.
Yes, we're thinking the
Mhm.
same. Um, what's your unpopular opinion about HBCUs?
Black people like to trauma bond. I'm sorry.
She said it, not I, but I kind of agree with her, hence my snaps. But hey, I think you've got a few, so I think this is an unfair question for you, but shout out your favorite professor or person at Howard University.
Miss Gould. Miss Gould, she's the director of the 21 Cat program. That's my girl. Shout out Miss Gould.
I love
Melissa
it.
Gould.
I love it. Okay, what message? Ooh, this is good. Knowing all the changes that have
Mhm.
happened at the presidential level at Howard University. What would you want to say to Dr. Frederick, who is the current interim, that you haven't shared with them? If you had the opportunity to say something to the president today of Howard University, what would it be?
I would say it was crazy. I actually went to London with him my freshman year. So, with that being said, after our previous conversations I had with him, I would say try to be transparent because also with me I did spring fest. I did a lot of things within the school where there was that sense of secrecy and privacy, but honestly I feel like a lot of things can be more transparent because people just want to understand, just having that level of just being able to understand, so then that it's not, so we can like it's a family, how we're supposed to be a family, and you want to trust your parents. But then at the same time I get your parents, it's like your parents tell you you're supposed to do something but you don't know why you're supposed to do it. But then if you have that transparency, like we're older kids, so just that level of trust.
I appreciate that. I really do. And your rap, you did good. You did good, and you gave real answers. You didn't shy away from the toughest one because most people are like, "I'm not touching that president one. Get out of here." But you did good. Before I ask you about this journey of yours for picking Howard University, I do want to. I want to support what you just said. I do. It's not just because I'm a Howard alum. But I liken, so I'm a college professor, and I was known as a tough grader. And I really want every president of a university, every leadership team to please hear me say this. And I'm saying this on behalf of Brooklyn and on behalf of myself. Um, when I was a tough grader and I'd give my students a grade they did not like, for example, the student, I would experience that the student just wanted to know, explain to me. It wasn't about why did you give me this grade? For at least in my experience, it was almost always, tell me how we got here.
Hmm.
Can you tell me what your grading was, that I in my head thought I turned in an A paper, but you just gave me a C. And I can only speak for myself. 9 out of 10 times, the result never changed. I actually never changed the grade. I just explained to the student, I know you thought you got an A or you turned in an A paper, but remember when we asked for this and you gave this? And I literally just showed step by step. There's always going to be subjectivity to some of this stuff, right? We are not in the C suite of the president's offices when those decisions are being made. We respect that, we know that. And I think our students also know that you can't share everything, but share enough that allows us not to feel that we're being gaslit along the way. So
Hmm.
I said it. I wanted to support that sentiment that you just gave because I think there's a reality to that with a lot of our HBCUs where no one's asking you to say all the things, but we're asking you, give us enough where we don't feel like we're going crazy along the way.
Hmm.
Okay.
I agree.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Okay, Brooklyn, you are from Aurora, Colorado. I have never been to Colorado, but let's go there. When I think of Colorado, I don't think Black people are actually there. I could be wrong, clearly,
There's
because
black
you
people
don't
in
live there.
Colorado, I promise.
again, I'm clearly wrong. I'm speaking to somebody from Colorado. But give us your college selection journey. How do you go from Colorado to selecting Howard University?
Yes. So I would say, little background. The reason why I'm from Aurora, Colorado, is my mom's actually from Chicago and my dad's from Baltimore. But they were both in the military, so they both got stationed in Colorado. So that's how I am from Aurora, Colorado. And there's actually within Aurora, not the state. The state, yes, pretty white. But Aurora, Colorado, you will see a lot of black people. But also, I would say I had a pretty diverse upbringing in the sense where I was surrounded by Latinos, black people, white people, Asians, Pacific Islanders, Indians, like Samoan, like my best friend is Congolese. So in that sense, I would say I had that sense of diversity, and it made me realize how the world is a lot bigger than I thought of because I'm surrounded with
Mm.
people who are from a lot of different places. And actually, it was in the eighth grade. I would say one thing about going to college, we have a really good education system, so they start to prepare you for your college within the eighth grade. It was like, what do you think about doing? What schools you want to go to? And I looked up. Once I figured out what an HBCU was, because my dad was talking about it, because he actually went to Bowie State. He didn't graduate due to having enlisted in the military, but he did go to Bowie State. And he was talking about HBCUs. This I was like, cause what happened was I went to a very diverse like elementary and middle school, but then I switched to like a predominantly white school. So I was mad, and then I'm like, I want to be around more black people because I have to go across the city to go hang out with my black friends. So I was like, what's a HBCU? Then I looked up best business HBCUs in the country. Howard University came up, but also Morehouse came out. Come up. I didn't know Morehouse was only for men at the time. I can't lie. So
I
I was
love
about to
it.
apply to Morehouse, and I was like, no. So that only left Howard. And from that moment, I said, I'm gonna go to Howard. At eighth grade, I said I want to I want to go to Howard University and study international business because that's the only HBCU that kind of have an international business program. So from then, I worked hard. I was president of BSA. I did all the things to be a good candidate to go to Howard University. That's when I only applied to HBCUs too. So I was getting my
Mm.
acceptance letters. Everything was coming in. And I remember I opened up my Howard acceptance letter and I just started to cry. I was crying. I was bawling my eyes out. My mom was there. My grandma was there. We called my great grandma. And it was just that sense of pride because just I was being the first of a lot of things for my family. Like the first person, my cousin went to Clark, but like the first person to go to such a caliber like school, the first person to be studying business, the first person to do so much. So I also felt like it was a weight, but it was a good weight. Like that purpose. I felt like that purpose was ignited in me to go to Howard. And also when I went to Howard, my mom was like, I went to the military. They paid for my school. Unfortunately, Howard's expensive. You got to find a way, and I found a way. I was to make sure I'm gonna work hard to make sure that I can get scholarships because I knew that that was the purpose that God put in my life, and He found the way. He cleared the path, and now I would say I would not be in the positions, have the opportunities, or be where I am today if it wasn't from Howard University. And now my little cousin, she goes, "Oh, I'm gonna go to Howard." She wants to go to Howard. My little brother is just like, fingers crossed, he wants to go to FAMU. So he's about to go to FAMU. And then I
Nice.
have my best friend also got accepted into Howard. So we went to Howard together. And then I have my other friends who went to Spelman. So it was just that sense of like, a lot of people in Colorado didn't really know about HBCUs. It was like pretty new. So being able to be that example and to really show the black people there that it's possible. Because unfortunately, Colorado, I love it all in a sense. But a lot of, I would say, depending where you went to school in Aurora, a lot of them didn't go to college. A lot of them work at Walmart. Not saying nothing wrong working at Walmart, but you could just say that they don't have that same drive, so be able to
Hmm.
show them. And then after more people from my school went to Howard, like it's just so crazy to kind of see how that trail, like that continuation. And now Howard University has a Colorado club.
I was
So
just about to say, can
yeah,
we give you credit for the pipeline of students going from Colorado to Howard University? I think maybe not fully, but we can give you some credit for that pipeline. Yes.
I would say no. Yeah, I'll take some. I'll take some. Yes, I would take some credit because just it's like that mentor mentee relationship. People reaching out to me pushing people to go. I actually went back to my BSA last year, I believe, to talk about Howard University. So hey,
Listen,
you said it,
next
not
time
me.
somebody, I did. I absolutely did. And next time, we do this, Brooklyn. I think it's a little bit worse for Africans, and I'm Nigerian. I think it's a little worse for some Nigerians, but forget where we're from. It's bad on women. when somebody tells us and gives us our flowers, we kind of like, well, did I? Next time somebody tells you that you
Okay.
were influential in this pipeline, just smile and say, actually, yes, I did that. Because you did. You did. And I think it's
Thanks.
amazing because I don't I've met enough students now to know that that word of mouth is powerful, and that a Brooklyn telling someone or them seeing a Brooklyn who went, it kind of just gives them this little spark that, wait, hold on, I think
Mm.
this might be something I want to do as well. So I say take it, I say embrace it. I think it's beautiful. Um, I have to ask. I've just heard the most seamless version of manifestation yet. When you said in eighth grade, you selected Howard University and you pooled all your energies, is what it came off to me, to actually doing that. So I'm curious because in my brain right now, there's absolutely nothing that Brooklyn can't do. It's just not possible. If Brooklyn wants to do something and Brooklyn has that, it's almost like a deposited dream within her to go for it, it's going to happen. So curiosity, no pressure whatsoever. What's the thing you're manifesting now? I'm going to call it manifestation, but what's the thing that's on your heart now that you're like, guys, I'm going for this. I want to hear it.
Yeah. I would say right now it's I want to be a hotel owner. I do want to get into international tourism. I do want to travel. And my North Star, my dream out there, I know I'm gonna get it one day, is actually want to own my own hotel chain. So similar to your Marriott, your IHG, your Hilton, because they actually don't own any hotels. They create the brand for it. And I want to create a brand that has that impact tourism because that's so important. Because
Yes.
tourism has the chance to fuel economies, to get economies, to bring opportunities to places. But if done right, the money has to go back to the people. So that's why
Yeah.
with my brand, I want to create this brand for
Wow.
one, where people, when they visit my brand, they get that cultural experience. They're not just sitting on the beach. I know you want a vacation. My mom's a relaxer. I know that type. But also that cultural immersion that breaks down stereotypes that make you learn more about a place, that like pushes your mind. And I want my hotels to be owned locally. Like I would provide the brand, and there's like a bunch of like structures and like it's like kind of like owning your own franchise, like own
Absolutely.
like your own McDonald's or your own Chick-fil-A. So in that
Absolutely.
same sense, I want locals of the area to own the hotel, and then I present the brand to present like the to give access opportunity, like because to kind of create that pathway, and then the people to create opportunities, because that's the thing, opportunities is not accessible to everybody in the world. That's the one thing that I realized. People have the drive, people have the determination, but do they have the opportunities to actually do better for themselves? And that's what I feel like impact tourism and my dream of owning this brand, if done right, will do. So in that sense, that's the North Star. That's my goal. I actually won a hotel pitch competition last semester, so we were already planting the seed. And right after graduation, I am blessed enough to have a full time consulting job in Miami. So, kind of want to use that to kind of continue to grow my skills, because if I want to do something, I want to do it right. And within consulting, I know I'm gonna have be able to communicate efficiently, have the data, have the background, be able to do Excel sheets, and have the connections in order for when I'm ready, which is gonna be soon. Give me 5 years, like 5 years. When I'm ready, I can hit the ground running.
So, Brooklyn, no pressure. I started by saying no pressure. I'm going to end by saying no pressure. I don't care if it takes 5 years. I don't care if it takes 10 years. I'm looking forward to staying in one of your hotels. It's going to happen. It is legitimately going to happen. And I really hope. So, there's always a portion of all of our podcast episodes that's a little love note to current students. And your love note to current students is go for it and believe in yourself. Like I hear that in every single thing that you are saying. You have the power to do what it is you want to do. Just believe in yourself. And this isn't glossy. We know things can be hard. We know you've got to put in the work, but you are literally directing the energies in that pathway. You're going
Mhm.
to, don't tell us the name yet. Do not tell us the name yet because we don't want somebody else to steal it and freaking trademark it. So do not tell us the name of your hotel brand yet, but it's going to happen and I'm looking forward to it. Brooklyn, I said I was coming back to race and identity. You
Mhm.
are the perfect human being to have these conversations with. And I don't care where it goes. So let's let it go wherever the heck it's going to go.
Mhm.
One of the things that I was thinking about when before we hit record was everyone gives the general reason why HBCUs exist. And I did not know about HBCUs until I came to the United States of America. I appreciate them. I've spent my entire academic career in HBCUs now. Would not change anything. And I wish we could let those outside of HBCUs understand that it's not a preference, it's a feeling like yourself.
Mhm.
It is a an identity of comfort that, especially in these United States of America, is not as easy for Black people, especially young Black people growing up, to feel and know. No offense to all my Caucasian friends. You walk out in the streets and you feel comfortable. You own the world. Everything literally is quite literally your oyster. And that's not a trite statement, it is just the truth.
Mhm.
A Black student walks on an HBCU for the first time. They're like, ooh, this feels good. I call it an identity of comfort. Now, I want to quickly add this before you give me your reflections. I also hear a lot of Black people, and especially those who have gone to HBCUs, always push back when I make these statements. And they say, but Tosin, that's not the real world. They're going to have to go out in the real world and meet with people who blah, 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 blah. And I'm like, yes, I agree with you. But can we admit that the person who attends an HBCU and develops that identity of comfort, that identity of authenticity, that identity of knowing has got an extra armor when they now have to go out in this so called real world that really is not as comfortable for them to navigate on a daily basis? Okay, boom. Give me your commentary on that,
Yes. No, first I want to say I agree with everything you just said. And kind of to add my own take on it is,
please.
for one, you're around black people from all over the world. All over the
Yes.
world. So yes, it's you're surrounded by black people and that's not how the real world is. But you realize that everyone has a different, we're not just black. There's different layers of identity that goes into our blackness that makes us a unique type of black. Me being black from my from Aurora, Colorado is way different from my friend who's from St. Kitts, or my one friend from Jamaica, or my one friend from Nigeria, or my one friend from New York, New Jersey.
Yes.
So in that sense, that other layer of identity, I feel like an HBCU helps you create those layers, help you create and build onto that identity and be confident in your identity. And then also within HBCUs, we have to realize that the black experience is different and we need an extra level of care, an extra
Yeah.
level of care. And in the sense that I'm saying that is also within the School of Business, we practice our Howard intros. Hello, my name is Brooklynn Tucker. I'm a senior international business major, Latin American concentration from Aurora, Colorado. Being able to confidently say your name with pride and know that when you walk into your room, you're meant to be there. That is something that you can't get outside of the HBCU, and that's something that's going to take you. That's something that's going to take you way farther because you're not going to like little yourself. You're not going to make yourself small. Because one thing about Howard, everyone thinks they're their celebrity. Everyone thinks they're the center. So then when you're around a bunch of high achieving black people, it makes you want to work harder too. And it also makes you confident within you as a person. And I've been to conferences where I was around people from different from different schools, PWIs included. And I would tell you a bison will always stand out. And I'm not gonna even say bison, the HBCU student in general also always stand out. And it's
True.
that confidence. It's that it proves like I'm sorry, the LinkedIn's prove it. The like everything proves that the way that an HBCU will equip you is is a proven success in the world, because you're learning, you're building your skill set and your armor, as you said. So when you walk out there, you're confident. You know how to present yourself. You know how to talk. You know how to. We say we switch it up, not code switch, but kind of adapt your personality and your character for the situation, because there's a difference. I feel I'm great at talking with white people, with Caucasian people, because I know how to keep my personality and my sense and me as a person. But you have to adapt it to certain environments, and that's what an
Yeah.
HBC is going to teach you. And that's,
Yeah.
you can't get that anywhere else. You really can't.
You just said something that a lot of my Black Power revolutionaries push back on me. And they say, well, Tosin, isn't that weakening your identity? Isn't that softening your authenticity when you adapt your personality, like you just said, Brooklyn? I want to get your take on that because I disagree. I shouldn't have said my take first. My apologies. But I'm curious, what do you think when you hear that? Because there are people who say, "Oh, you're just what do they call them? Oh my gosh. Oh, you're being an Uncle Tom. You are
Mm-hmm.
there are other
You
terms
know
that
what's
I
funny?
can't think of right now 'cause I don't use them. You're
Yeah.
selling out. There we go. That part. Yes.
Yeah.
What is your take on that?
Mhm. Real quick, it's funny. In Colombia, they say the same thing. They be like Tio Tom. So it's the same. It's so funny because you see the black experience is black people are black people everywhere. Sorry, I know that's like a side note. Black people are black people everywhere,
No,
and
no,
it's
you're
just
fine.
funny when you see that extra identity thrown into it. Because my teacher, she's a black woman. She gave me that black mom face, and I knew I was in trouble. So, side note, but into that sense, sorry that took that another way. But to answer your
No, that's
question,
fine.
I don't think there's nothing wrong with that, because you have to, it's not making other people comfortable, but it's to you. When you walk into your room, you're going to have an agenda, you're going to have a goal. How can you get to your goal? And your goal is adapting, and it's not necessarily putting on a white voice for white voices. You might be around a bunch like a Hispanic investors, you might be around Asian investors, you might be around, you have to know how to adapt in those different environments to get your goal across, to do business. But then also in the sense, it's, I feel like this is another hot take. The black people that are in my program, I feel like walk have the most biases and most privileges, and think that like than the white counterparts in our program. And I think that's because we have this idea of, oh, it, be proud to be black, be proud to do everything, but also know that you have to adapt to different cultures, and that's just like
Yeah.
that comes with cultural competency, is that the word, cultural
Competency and
intelligence. Yeah.
awareness.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely.
And
Yes.
awareness, because you have to realize that it's the world that we live in. But then that's also why we have our black spaces. That's
Yeah.
also why we have our black
Yeah.
spaces. That's why we have our black spaces. But then also, just in the sense of, if we want to go up in society, we want to get things accomplished. That's just the reality of it all. But I'm not nowhere saying dim yourself down. The Brooklyn that walks into a Brooklyn full of white people, Brooklyn that walks into my HBCU, the Brooklyn that walks into here, it's the same Brooklyn. Might be a little different font, might be dressed a different way, might present myself differently, but it's still me. And everybody will have the same things to say about me. Nobody be like, oh, she was faking that. That's why I said one of my biggest things is being genuine. That genuinity, yeah, that's the word, genuinity.
Ingenuity.
Yeah, genuinity that I bring into the room. And I think that's the core of that code switching. It's
Yes.
just be, you have to stay genuine though.
I love the way I love the way you broke that down. I hope more and more students actually hear you say that because I do think your generation is caught in between what does it mean for me to be authentic? What does it mean for me to be genuine? And they're pretzeling themselves based on what the rest of the world keeps on telling them how to show up. And I do think it's why it's so important to find out you first. And I love that when I asked you to describe yourself, you did use genuine as one of your descriptors. Find yourself first, and then adaptability is a real thing. Like, can we be
Mm-hmm.
honest? Even in our own families, we have to adapt in different ways, depending on whether I'm with my mom's side of the family or my dad's side of the family or with a certain set of cousins and another set of aunties. I'm going to adapt a little bit differently. It does not mean who you are as a person is diluted. And I just want us to make space for all of the complexities and all of the beauty that exists within one's identity without judging others for the way they choose to adapt in those different spaces. It will be
Mhm.
impossible for us to have had this race and identity conversation, Brooklyn, and not bring diversity, equity, and inclusion up. I have to. I'm sorry, but I have to. And you're going into a space where, whether you like it or not, it is a real thing that gets weaponized. It is a real thing that gets celebrated. I'm going to use both. Some of it gets celebrated, some of it gets weaponized.
Mhm.
As an international business magnate in the making, what's your take on DE and I?
Mhm. I feel I feel like first, the purpose of DEI is to give opportunities. Because as I said before, people have the drive, people have the character, people have the abilities and the skills to do it, but not the opportunities. That's the thing. It's about giving people the opportunity for when the opportunities to do things, to do big things. And I wouldn't lie and say I wouldn't wasn't a product of DEI initiatives. Shout out AT&T. That's a big thing. I was an AT&T Rising Future Maker, and that opportunity allowed me to be in rooms to for me to realize how big the world was. To be able to be at Essence Fest, to talk to these actors, to see I didn't even know there was jobs people were doing I didn't even know were possible. So it's having that opportunity to be in
Mm.
those rooms. But then also, I think we also have to realize that just because somebody comes from a DEI background, because I was having imposter syndrome for the longest when I first got my first internship, because I interned. It's unheard of for somebody to intern at a top three consulting firm their freshman year, and that was me. And it was due the HBCU pipeline. And I was like, am I like the token black kid? And I'm here because I was meant to be here, and I had to cut that out because I had to realize, yes, I had the opportunity to be here, but my interview process was the same as everybody else's. I didn't get the job because I was black. I got the job because I was the most qualified. And I think a lot of times with DEI, when people they think, oh, she's the black hire, she's the black thing. And I feel like really at Howard, what we're trying to, especially within the School of Business, no, we're not the black whatever. We are just the best. When we say we're the best, we're not saying, oh, we're the best HBCU. We're not saying the best because we believe that we are the best. And like I said, I've been around rooms of like white people, like of different people. How are people stand out? And it's because it might be biased, but because we are the best. And it's also because we have the skills to be that. I it's my competition, it wasn't because of DEI, it was because we were the best. We won the pitch competition. And I feel like that's so important. And specifically now than ever, what I want my like, I guess you could say my fellow students to know is people can't fight data. They can't fight facts. And that's what we have to bring to the table. We have to make like, you can say
Mhm.
whatever you want, black, white. Data doesn't lie. And then also in the sense, we are not, we need to stop being, oh yeah, I'm the best black businesswoman, the best black doctor. No, just be the best doctor, period. That so happens to be black. So that's my take on it. And DI, again, it's giving people opportunities, not like letting them go into the door, not like a free pass, because that's definitely not what it is.
So
So yeah, that's my take.
you've given us a couple of hot takes, right? So Brooklyn, I'm going
Yeah.
to add my hot take to our episode.
Okay.
Brooklyn, listen. I say this, I mean it, but people don't always believe me. I love so many of the guests that we have, and you're one of them. You add so much to the conversation that I don't think a lot of people are having. And so I pray you stay within our orbit, because I would love
Yes.
more and more students to hear what you have to say, because I think it's profound that they do. It's profound in its simplicity. Now let me add my hot take to what you just said. So, Brooklyn, I'm one of those human beings, and that I'm okay being the black hire. I'm okay being the token. It's never ever offended me. And you know what's funny? The reason why it has never offended me is because of exactly what you just explained. You just said that diversity, equity, and inclusion is supposed to be an opportunity grantor. Because let's be very clear, in most cases, if familiarity bias is real, which it is. I'm going to hire what looks like me. I'm going to hire what I know and understand. If I happen to be a Caucasian, what looks like me is another Caucasian. What looks like me is another woman who happens to be Caucasian. So if Tosin, who happens to be black, got that job because it was a black person that was like, wait, hold on, let's give this black kid a shot. It does not offend me. Now, this is where Brooklyn and I are on the same page. Once I get that job, Brooklyn, we've got to take the black misnomer off. And we've got
Mm-hmm.
to prove to ourselves. I don't think it's about proving it to anybody else, but prove to ourselves, I might have got here because of the opportunity that you granted to a black person. But by the time we're done here, you're going to realize I was the best candidate that you could have selected for that particular position. Not the best black candidate, not the best
Mm-hmm.
woman. I was the best candidate that you could have actually selected. So that's my hot take. It does not offend me when people are like, "Oh, you just got here because you're black." Okay, fine. I'm black. That's a
And
fact.
I'm gonna
I'm
stay
a
here because
woman.
I'm the
That's also a
best.
fact.
Mm-hmm.
There we go. There we go. So yeah, I love when we can have these types of conversations with students, and I hope other students are listening to realize that, wait, let's broaden our perspective on what is allowable for us. Even if it is something that you did not come up with, you are the first person that I have heard use the term impact tourism. And can I quickly share with you that I experienced it in a very real way recently? I went to Morocco
Mm-hmm.
earlier on this year. I was supposed to go to Bali. And as I mentioned earlier on, I am Nigerian. My father is also Nigerian. My father is not a US citizen. And I found out that if you are a Nigerian citizen with a Nigerian passport, Bali is not very welcoming to you. And I did not realize that until we were planning to travel together. And so, on a flip of a dime, we said, we're going to go to an African country. And so we went to Morocco. And when I tell you there was something that felt good, to your point about impact tourism, there was something that felt good about going to a place where I know that the monies that I'm spending is going to go to local artisans. The money that I'm spending is going to go to make those areas that I am visiting locally a lot better. And it also made me feel better that it was African. I'm not going to lie, it really did.
Mm-hmm.
When you use the term impact tourism, what do you want people to walk away with as they travel? More and more of us, i.e., more and more Black women, especially, are traveling across the globe. What do you want them to think of making sure they do, regardless of where they go to, when it comes to impact tourism?
Mm-hmm. I would say first, do, be more conscious because I wouldn't be lying if I were to say, "Oh yeah, shop locally. You definitely should go to local restaurants," but we also like luxuries. Okay, you may have like a local hotel known locally, and you might have your Hilton. And the Hilton might have more amenities, it might have more stuff. And I don't want to be like, no, you're a horrible person. That's not the case. But it's more just realizing that when you're at a place, what's developed, what looks nice? Is it just the tourism areas that look nice, or is it also the suburbs that are adjacent where the people who are working in those tourism places living, are those also nice? Is it just the restaurants that you're eating at,
Mm.
are you surrounded by just tourists, and like, or is there also local people there? Or if you're spending in that, I feel like those things just gonna make people more conscious, because I think we just need to be more aware. So many places, just the tourism hub is developed. A lot of displacement also happens. They like to kick out all the locals who live in that area, and then they have to be displaced
Absolutely.
to the outskirts. And their what's it, their quality of life is not changing, but the tourism area is growing. They're saying so much, you're putting so much money, you're seeing that the economy is developing money through tourism, but is the quality of life for that local getting better? And I think that's just how we can be more conscious as a society, so we can build those systems where it goes back to the people, where you could travel and you can know no matter where you spend your money that the quality of life is somebody's doing better. So in that sense, just like little things, I would say, yeah, shop locally, go to a local restaurant. I don't want to say that you have to sacrifice your comfort, but more just being more
Of
aware,
course.
and you will be very surprised. Be more open to go talk to somebody that you're not familiar with, and also doing history of a place before you go. Because so many people, when they travel to Cartagena, because I was one of them, I went to Cartagena before my study abroad trip. I did not know it was a slave port. Then when I went the second time, I
Yeah.
felt a little weird because we're learning about in our classes the actual history of that place. And it's not saying don't go there no more, just being more conscious of those things, because you will start to just realize things, and then you would naturally start to change your habits, and you would naturally start having
Mm.
conversations, and like the word of mouth, you, when you come back, you will share those things, so it has more weight to it. So I would say just be more conscious. That's the biggest thing I could do. And also, for example, when I went to Cartagena, for one, there's this bar called Monkey Bar. It's a fun bar, but it's only catered to African Americans. And I asked the guard in Spanish. I was in Spanish. I was like, "Do you think it's ironic that we're in a slave port and you want me, a black woman, to go to a bar called Monkey Bar that's only catered to African Americans?" I was like, you just start to think about stuff like that. Or I went to a
Wow.
restaurant. I kid you not. The name of the burger was Slave Burger, Hamburguesa de los Esclavos. That was the name. I was like, dumb. I was dumb. I was like, this cannot be real right now. And it was a normal American hamburger. So it wasn't, it was just, it's stuff like that,
Wow.
that when you, the first time I went, I wasn't conscious. I didn't know. But then when I went a second
Yeah.
time, and I got that more impact tourism, my, like, mindset of it, because of my schooling and because of the program, it opened up my
Yeah.
eyes. And now when I go to the next place, I'm gonna do more research to make sure I'm not going to a slave port. But it's stuff like
No,
that.
seriously. Wow.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. I was not expecting that. But thank you. Thank you.
Yes.
Wow. 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 It's also, I was listening to you and I said, Tosin, this is also the reason why one must know a little bit about the language. Because I would have walked into a place like that, for example, and because I don't know Spanish, would not make, I won't connect any of the dots whatsoever. But because you
Mm-hmm.
do understand a little bit of Spanish, it's kind of hard for it not to resonate with you. Like, wait, hold on. Interesting. Interesting. Brooklyn, you have been an amazing guest to talk to. And I'm not kidding. I look forward to staying at one of your restaurants when, not restaurants, one of your hotels when that day and time comes. And based on the way you manifest things, I think it's impossible that you're not going to own your own franchise of hotels someday. I want you, however, to end this episode. We barely talked about HBCUs, which is a beautiful thing. I always say that HBCUs are the backdrop. They create the Brooklyns of the world where we can talk about anything and it doesn't have to be just about our HBCU. In one word or short phrase, tell me why you, Brooklyn Tucker, loves HBCUs.
In one word.
Or phrase.
Okay. It gives purpose and direction. I feel
It
like
gives purpose
purpose and
and
direction.
direction. I love it. Brooklyn Tucker, it is impossible for anyone to come and watch I Love My HBCU question mark on YouTube or listen to us on any of our streaming devices and not love this episode because of you. It has been amazing having you as a guest. And to all the listeners and to all the watchers out there, yours in HBCU love. See you next episode. Brooklyn, thank you so much.
Yes, thank you.
You've been listening to I Love My HBCU question mark. Let's keep the conversation going as we share our stories and encourage more practical support of HBCUs, whilst of course holding each other accountable. Don't forget to follow and subscribe for the latest episodes. Until next time, love and lift your HBCU.